Peekaboo. Alright, so this is Decent We the People News. One more time at it. Alright, I'm not giving legal advice. Okay, not attorney. Cannot do that. Right? I never signed a contract with them. Alright, for some reason or another, they could tell me I can't give it without signing that contract. But we are where we are. Never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Hang on a second.
You have a right as a man.
Okay, so David Tulis. Not even pronouncing that correctly, so don't mind me, right? I came across him and I did a video on it about 6 or 7 videos back. Check it out, okay? And I gave my opinion, the reason why he was doing things, okay? And I thought, well, who is this guy, right? Because he's from Tennessee, come find out. And I'm from Texas, but the same stuff applied. All right? I'm just saying. From state to state to state to state, the same stuff applies. All right. So, in his own words, how did he? Why? Right? Because this book right here is transportation code. Okay? Now, did you have to read that whole book? And if the cops are using them codes against you, and they don't have to by suckering you, right? Well, in court, that what they call that is operating in court outside of the four corners. Where's the citizen nexus? The statutes makes that apply and applicable to you, the average man and woman that minds their own business, right? Attorneys that you call and ask is hearsay. That judge is hearsay. You got to do your own research. You got to do your own looking up laws, okay? Because we're all running under hearsay and we're losing rights. It's just that plain out and simple. Because we're just, operating in hearsay and actually staying in silence, acquiescence, and tacit agree to every single term that's come to your way.
Freed from servitude to be on the road without having to give anybody an accounting of where you're going or to have to ask anybody's permission. You don't have to ask Nashville and the Department of Safety with your license for the right to be on the road. You have a right to be there because God made you in his image, and you are free under our law, and the law they're using against you is being abused. They're not obeying their own law in this book and staying within the lines. This is the book. They're not staying within the lines of type in this very heavy green volume in my.
And that right there would be called the four corners, operating outside the four corners.
And this book gives limits to what they can do.
Okay, let me say this, because hey Rick, he told me this. The stuff he's saying now. He told me this a few years ago when I was on your podcast. I was on your show. We talked off camera. He said the same shit to me. My whole thing, I was like, man, that shit would not work for a black man. If we get pulled over by the police and we say, you know what, I'm not operating in commerce, I don't have to show you my license. That's not gonna go in our favor right there. Point blank.
You know, if black, go ahead.
Let me say this. That's not gonna go in our favor. I know.
And you said that. I remember you saying.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Lil Mo said the same thing.
Right. Now I know, Rick know, and everybody else know. We know 100 people who's been charged with driving on suspended license, driving out of license, all kind of things that are driving related, right? So my point in saying that is like, even if you're saying that's the law, obviously the police have enough sense or have a cushion the way they know that they can override that. Because if that's the case, this person, that person will be charged with driving without license, driving without insurance, and all this type of shit. I told you this years ago. I said that wouldn't work for a black man. Now you being a white guy, when you text me,
all right. So right there, and now the paper form is better to give them. And that's called administrative notice, just in case you can't see it. Okay, but what you're doing is going in there and actually breaking down the law and you give them notice not to cause you harm, or there's going to be hell to pay. So when they come in and cost you and arrest you and all that, uh, they actually stayed in silent acquiescence and tacit agree to your terms and all that. Of course, there's process through that, but if you don't stand on your rights, who's going to stand on your rights? All right. If you want to be accosted, then be accosted. All right. I'm just saying. Every man and woman has the decision to make up their own best interests, whether they stand up for their rights or become one of the subjects. Right? You hear the cops all the time. Oh, I got the subject in custody. Subject. Beneath the king, people.
You got arrested. You say, I'm one of the brothers now. So, let me say this. When you, the same thing you told me years ago, they have no right to do this and do that. When you got pulled over and you was in that position and you used that as your defense, it didn't work. You still went to jail.
Oh.
This is my favorite part because I discussed this on another video. Why did it not work?
Jamal, can I not tell you how glad I am that they arrested me? I made them arrest me. I forced them to arrest me. And you know why I did that?
No, tell me why.
Well, how come I didn't ask him to, well, can I please sign a citation? How come I didn't ask him to sign a citation? Why?
Well, most of us try not to get arrested. Why did you force him to arrest you? Break that down, please.
I now have standing in court. I have standing to sue them, and I certainly plan to pursue action with reform in mind. And the reform I have in mind are on 2 points. Number one, the traffic abuse, the Jim Crow traffic enforcement by the county and the city, right, and here in the Chattanooga area and across the country. And then number two, warrantless arrest. And I hope you just stay with Jamal's interview here, because we want to talk about when they have to have a warrant to arrest you. This is also a law.
Now listen to this very carefully, y'all. Right? Because, again, how are they getting by with this? Right? They're not following within the four corners. And who's helping them? It's not in the best interest for the attorneys. They need money. Not in the best interest for the judge. The county needs to get paid. All right? And the county needs to pay also the officers. So how's it in the best interest? Just saying.
That they routinely ignore. They routinely ignore it. And I hope we're going to explain to you. I want to tell you without my law stuff.
Expound on how they routinely ignore their law.
Okay.
Go talk about.
Okay. Without this is not boring and this is not law stuff. But I'm telling you what you need to know. What the law says they have to have. Okay. There are 2 tests to be arrested without a warrant, and this deputy, failed the test. Okay.
What's his name?
His name is Brandon Bennett, and he is serving Austin Garrett, the sheriff of Hamilton County.
Okay.
And I did ask him after he'd already committed to injuring me, don't you have to have a warrant? But, I knew he wouldn't have a warrant. I knew he wouldn't get a warrant because this is what all cops do. There's a law there's a law, and here's what the law says. The officer can arrest you without a warrant for a breach of the peace or, a public offense or a threatened breach of the peace and in his presence. So there are 2 tests. Is it in his presence? Okay. And then is it a public offense? Okay, now a public offense is a certain type of crime. No motor vehicle offense is a public offense. Driving on suspended, driving on revoked, driving without, having a tag that's bad, having a tail light out, all the pretext stops where cops drag black people and poor people, orphans and widows, aliens and strangers into the jail. These are all pretext stops, and they have to have a warrant. Why? Because the arrest is for an offense that's not a public offense. He can arrest you for a public offense or a breach of the peace threatened. Now, a public offense is a special kind of offense. It's kind of like a breach of the peace. So the traffic crimes are not breaches of the peace.
So, there we go. Look up your own codes on them 2 keywords and fully understand that. Okay? And I'm led to believe also in Tennessee that's a criminal offense. So, again, for Texas, that would be Criminal Code 42 or 14, 15, and then the magistrate, 48 hours to send a writ is 16. You and the officer, it's a violation of due process, and this is the reason why everybody in jail is illegally there. That's because they're mostly violating these 3 deals right here and saying that they have 72 hours. Now, that's not what the code says. It says 48 hours. Issue a warrant, which is a writ, and send it to the clerk, and everybody's in there supposed to have a warrant. All right, this will be the People News. Bye, y'all. This is part 1.